Hi everyone, this is MK, your Italian watercolor friend. Today we're starting a new series and it's all going to be about how different colors produce different values across different paint consistencies. Why is it important to understand how a color behaves? Well, first of all, you kind of want to predict your colors. And that's why I believe it's also important to, if you're a beginner, to start off with a limited palette so that you can actually get to know your pigments really well. I'm not just talking about their hue and the mixes that they make, but also I'm talking about how they dry, the dispersion on wet paper, and also how fast they dry. The same pigment may behave differently on different kind of paper brands. And that's why I thought that I would create this kind of watercolor drill that you can go back and refer to. And even if you don't have like a specific color and you're interested to know its behavior, you can just go look at that video. And let me talk you through my blues. So I have here I'm missing one blue. Phthalo blue. Anyway, I have 5 blues on my palette. These are the blues that I use the most. Manganese Blue Nova, Ultramarine Light, Cobalt Blue, Phthalo Blue Red Shade, and Indigo. Why do I like these colors, if you were interested to know? So Manganese Blue Nova is a very light value blue. The Masstone of this color sits around value 6 to 7. It's super easy to paint with this one because you can take it to creamy consistencies and it will stay at the same level as the red. Let's say Pierrot red. Usually blues are the darkest colors. It's a cool blue. So this blue has a green or yellow bias, whatever you're the most used to. I tend to gravitate more towards blues that have a warm bias, like French Ultramarine Light, Cobalt Blue, Phthalo Blue Red Shade. Manganese Blue Nova, I use it for painting water mainly, or very cool highlights. Think of the ice. Then I have French Ultramarine Light. I use it because it's quite similar in hue to Cobalt Blue. I like it very much, but honestly I prefer Cobalt Blue because it's a little weaker in Masstone than Ultramarine Light, and that allows me to have more body in my paint. So I don't need to dilute my mixes as much, and I can definitely use it to darken some colors like oranges, reds, without taking it down too much. But I use Ultramarine Light because, like I said, they're similar. This is just more economical, and I feel like this is an everyday paint. It does the same job as Cobalt Blue, but for pure aesthetics, I like Cobalt Blue a little bit better. But again, they're very much the same. Then here, I don't have the tube right out. Let me find it for you. Phthalo Blue Red Shade. I really like this one because it makes very clean mixes, especially if I mix it with quinacridone magenta. It's just fabulous. The Masstone of Phthalo Blue Red Shade is much darker. I just use it when I want a little more strength than Ultramarine or Cobalt Blue. So for me, these three go together. They serve pretty much the same purpose, except for this one is for when I want a darker tonal value. Cobalt Blue is for when I want more body in my paint, so I'm allowed to use more blue without deepening or darkening the color too much. And Ultramarine Light, it's just like the perfect balance, with the exception that I like the Cobalt Blue hue a little bit better. I hope this makes sense to you. And then moving on, I have Indigo. This color right here is a very dark blue. I think this one has 3 pigments in it. Yes, so this one is made of PB15, which is Phthalo Blue, PBK6, so black, and PR122, which I imagine is magenta. Yeah, I use it when I want very dark blue, almost close to black. But not only that, I also see Indigo as a color that desaturates my mixes. Many beginners make the mistake. They think that Indigo, or like this kind of dark colors, they predominantly use them to paint dark things like dark shadows, and they use them at their maximum strength. But actually where these colors really shine are not only the darkest shadows, but also where you want something that's a bit more desaturated. You just use it at a very watery, milky consistency, and that will produce beautiful muted tones. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't always use it at full strength. So I talked about my blues, and the one that I'm actually swatching is Ultramarine Light because I feel like this one is the right compromise for this whole topic, because it's a medium blue, like almost everyone has it in their palette. Correct me if I'm wrong. And also this allows you to layer your paints. So for example, if you want to layer something underneath this French ultramarine, which when you get it to a creamy consistency, it's probably on value, sitting on value 8, you want to know how many steps below this value 8 you can go. And so if you layer a creamy red and then an ultramarine light, both creamy, these two will support each other very well. That's what I mean. Basically, you don't want to have a gap in value. And you don't need to be super precise. Like sometimes just some suggestions are good enough when painting, but you do want to have your mind clear on your value target. Now that I've talked about my blues, I'm going to start a demonstration. If you like this kind of video, hit like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So I'm going to show you my blues so you know what I'm talking about, and I'll be starting with Manganese Blue Nova. I'll be placing it right here. This is a very beautiful like ocean color. I either use it for water scenes or to paint or highlight with a green yellow bias. I'll go in order of Masstone tonal value, cobalt blue, and this one is beautiful. It's my favorite kind of blue because the tonal value of this color is actually not that dark. And then we have French ultramarine light that's very close to cobalt blue, but this one is a touch darker and also a touch warmer, I would say. You can see there is not much difference. This one is my phthalo blue, and this is the red shade. And you can see this is dramatically darker compared to these two. So if I'm working with this one, I need to be a bit more careful than when I work with French ultramarine or cobalt blue. Indigo. This one has a very dark Masstone, as you can see. Okay, so let's test the French ultramarine, see how it behaves at different consistencies. Okay, I've divided the sections so we know what I'm working with, and I'll be starting with wet on dry, WOD. If I work with French ultramarine at its watery consistency, this is it. So for watery consistency, you see the pigment is flowing, you can see some water and just a tiny bit of pigment floating in there. This is your watery consistency. It's a very light value, and that's usually pastel tones kind of value range. Milk consistency, so that means you want to get a little bit more. So this is going to be it. And how do you judge the color, the consistency you're at? If you just tilt the palette and the paint flows, that means you're between water and milk. This kind of paint is water and milk. That's the flow for it. This is milk consistency, so it's just a little bit more intense. Then we have the cream consistency. Now I'm going to dilute this one to a creamy texture, so my paintbrush shouldn't be too wet. This is more like kind of like a bit before the cream. Okay, so this is creamy consistency, although the jump is too much compared to this milk. So obviously the values in between are endless. But this is more like when I talked about cream, this is more like a creamy paint for me. Then we have melted butter. If I work this paint through like this, so I'll just get it from here. So there is some water and there's pigment from the puddle. So this is melted butter. This melted butter, and then butter means like the paint actually straight out of the tube. So no water at all. It's this one. See how much darker this is. Now, these are my consistencies. I can actually control the values just by knowing these consistencies. Isn't that amazing? Now, what I'll do next is I will be wetting this strip. And we'll do the same exercise. So we'll take it from the watery to the milky, and I'll be showing you how the colors change. So, how the values change. I keep saying colors. So here I have my watery puddle, this one here, and look how much lighter this one gets. Let's wait until it dries, lay down a bit more. Now I'll be doing milk consistency, wet on wet. Here I think I went a little, because I'm used to painting this way, I went in a bit stronger. But anyway, now let's do cream consistency. I'll be getting it up here. You see, it's a little bit darker, and the water is diluting my paint. Now we have melted butter, so we'll go here, and this is melted butter, and now we have just butter, so paint at its thickest. And I like to use butter consistency paint with a rigger brush, because I feel like with a stiffer rigger brush I can pick up more of that paint. So like that, you see, this is so much darker already, and this was wet on wet. So what did we learn from this test? Blues make different values, and basically here, if you use French ultramarine at its milky consistency on dry paper, this is more like between milk and water actually, it's more like on this part here, because yeah, I could have done this swatch a little better, but like, put that aside for a moment. So this value, if you use the French ultramarine between water and milk consistency, you land around value 5. Value 5. What do we know about value 5? This is usually where the light values transition into the shadow areas. This will give you some darkness, some good structure for whatever comes next and whatever sits before this value. So here you can definitely put in some highlights, and also you can work still on this one. If you're painting something darker than this, you can keep going. You know you're not done yet. So this is important to know when enough is enough in watercolor. By the same token, we can say here, when we use the blue at a creamy consistency on wet on dry, we kind of have the sense that we are around value 7. Value 7 is usually a good mid-tone. Here you can still layer not only more colors at creamy consistencies, you could still layer a pure, let's say, phthalo blue red shade at a creamy consistency, and this one is going to be supporting your phthalo blue very well. And then when you move into melted butter, actually you're going to move closer to value 8. And that kind of signals to us that you're very close to your darkest darks. So if you're painting something and you want to stay in your midtones, definitely do not use melted butter consistency on dry paper, because that's going to be an overkill. However, if you use the same consistency on wet paper, it's going to dilute your paint even more, and that it's not going to take to value 8, sorry my kids, but it will take you more likely to value 6. So if you use French ultramarine light at a melted butter consistency on wet paper, it's not going to be the same strength. Quite the opposite. It will be more like value 6. You can see the drying shift is happening. The water allows the pigment particles to spread over the paper, and so it's not going to stay concentrated like this. It will be softer and lighter. And again, this is buttery consistency, and this is basically the paint straight out of the tube. How does this one behave on wet paper? Well, in some areas it stayed dark, but not as dark as here on wet on dry, and it's definitely not as dark. Again, this is good for layering purposes, but also good to know if you're painting in monochrome, you know how to handle your pigment. This was just the first episode of my series. Next time I'll be working on my reds, and we're going to see where the red is going to land at different consistencies, on different wetnesses, and you're definitely going to see a difference in value, because red has a Masstone that is much lighter than the blue. And then we'll move into the trickiest colors, the yellows, and after that we'll be doing the tertiary colors. I hope I pronounced it correctly. But yeah, so this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Ciao, ciao!